Good morning or good afternoon, royal family. I'll wait for some people to enter the room. We got the copyright disclaimer up. We got the no bullying disclaimer up, because basically we're gonna go live today and look at a former CPS worker named Carlos Morales that is exposing, or has in the past exposed, CPS and things that CPS does. So I know that I'm kind of late compared to what I've been doing the last couple of days. I've been ripping and running around, but basically I just wanted to take a look on it and expound on this. No, this CPS worker is not talking about Maleah Davis's case. However, he was a Texas CPS worker, so I think that it's important to also remember that we need input as far as what really goes on in CPS, period. And like I said, I will be putting together a video about what's going on in CPS as a whole. But right now I want to look at mainly Texas, obviously because of Maleah Davis. And as we know, there was a mental health situation going on, or not, well, that too now, not mental health, CPS case open where Brittany Barnes had lost her kids August of 2018 and got them back, but was still going through CPS court February. And May, Maleah disappeared, and fast forward, she's found on the side of the road. Now, first, I would just like to say that I apologize yesterday for my audio, for anybody that was here, because I was trying to dink around in my settings and make it better, because I gotta have a fan running. I got lights so that it looks, you can see me better, whatever. But I'm also getting a new camera, and I also have a virtual computer that basically we're gonna test run sometime soon. However, today, since I was already late, I wasn't gonna launch that, but we will be doing that. The camera is actually late, so we're waiting on it. However, really quick, before we get started, I would just like to say my son got an award for school. It's a big old award too. I'm gonna cover his name up though, but he did a marvelous job in school this year, and I'm so proud of him. And they gave him an award at the award ceremony, because it's the last day of school out here. But anyway, like I said, I wanted to expound more on CPS and the Maleah Davis case. Let me first say hi to people that are joining the room. Miss B, hello. Silver Foxy, hi. Nana Jones, or Johnson. Oh my God, I always mess your name up, Nana. Nana Johnson. I gotta get used to saying the names, because some people I'll see. But anyway, I'm in a lot of chat rooms too, so no disrespect. Hi, Katie Davis. I did wrench people up this time. I should have done it before, but people that I know, and there's some other people that I'm looking at wrenching up too. However, I don't want it to feel intimidating if people join in. Sometimes people are afraid to comment, but there were several people on my list as far as who I would make a moderator for my channel. But shout out to everybody that has been following my channel. Now, really quick, I want to just go over the chief in, let me make sure my audio is straight, but the chief in Maleah Davis's case had come forward and talked briefly about it. This is KHOU 11. Maleah Davis update. Chief Acevedo says he's confident Darian Fence was involved in her death. Now I want you to listen to what he says. Hi, Tina Hardman. I want you guys to listen to what is said in this, because he says that they know, but it's like they don't know. Kind of like when Baby was like, I don't know what he said in the interview, but It was two things that were the same, but they were just different words to explain the same. And I just kind of thought it was funny because I don't know, but I just wanted to look at that, you know, because as things come out, I do want to share them with the royal family, especially coming from law enforcement. We do want to see what they have. So, with no further ado, let's jump into that now.
I'll just tell you the case is ongoing. I'm not going to add much to it, yet just to say that, you know, we were confident that the suspect we had in custody was probably was involved in her killing. We're working very closely with the DA's office, and the investigation is proceeding. We are confident that at the end of the day, we're going to bring justice to that little girl and those that love her. I'm heartened, and I'm
Listen.
That we've been able to find her in custody.
I'm gonna run it back because I need you guys to listen really good.
Probably was involved in her killing. We're working very closely with the DA's office, and
fuck it, I'm gonna run it back. First of all, I want to know, since I was dinking around yesterday, I know my audio probably doesn't sound the best right now. You probably hear a fan in the background. I will try not to clip in the red so that it's loud. I'll try to talk lower in this video. However, let me know if the audio is good, like if you can hear him really good, because he says that he's like that he knows for sure, but like they're confident, but like they know for sure at the same time, but like they believe, I don't know, it's just like some of the wording. And then there's another case that is going on right now where Chief Acevedo just was, you know, in a press conference about it, and it is about an officer, a police officer that was raping people out of Houston and all this. I mean, I'm not, that's not related to the Maleah Davis thing. Here I go. The Maleah Davis thing, but basically it just speaks to how fucked up Houston is. And even in that interview, because I did kind of want to expound on that, but I do want to get this CPS worker heard and get that out of the way as well, because I'm not saying that this man has like, he's not speaking about the Maleah Davis case at all, but this man will give us insight. I know these things already, however, insight to how Texas gets down as far as their CPS. You know what I mean? Firsthand. He once worked for CPS, and after he was working there, he decided that he just didn't want to do the shit no more, because he saw what he was really doing. Now, he did see like bad cases and shit, and he's going to talk about that. And he's also going to talk about ways to kind of keep CPS out of your business if you're not abusing your child or sexually molesting your child. Obviously, you know, 9 times out of 10, I would hope people are not molesting their child, you know what I mean, or allowing that to happen. However, I feel like this is important, obviously, to show insight of what's going on in Texas, but also kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So we definitely do have CPS that failed Maleah, and I will show you that in a clip where people are protesting and they're upset about how Maleah was returned back to Brittany, even though these brain injuries and stuff like that. And I just feel like it will give us an inside look. With no further ado, let me just get into this clip or whatever, because I think I'm thinking too much. I've had a really busy day, y'all, so let me get into it.
Case is ongoing. I'm not going to add much to it, yet just to say that, you know, we were confident that the suspect we had in custody was probably was involved in her killing. We're working very closely with the DA's office, and the investigation is proceeding.
Now, how you say you're confident, but you're pretty sure? You see what I'm saying? In the same sentence, like, are you sure or are you confident? I need you to, like, know that. And it's been how many weeks since Darian Vance been locked up? It's got to be going on 3 weeks now. Well, what you mean you pretty confident? Or you, man?
We are confident that at the end of the day, we're going to bring justice to that little girl and those that love her. I'm heartened, and I'm relieved that we've been able to find her and bring her home where she belongs, instead of on the side of a road where a coward and or one or more persons that are cowards with no soul just dumped her like she's a roadkill somewhere, and I'm just grateful that we were able to bring her home.
I'm concerned about the legality of what Darion had told Cornell and whether it will be allowed to be forward.
Let me tell you something. When he told Cornell, we already knew who the suspect was.
Look at that attitude. Come on now, let me tell you something. Do we need to go back to it? I'm not trying to be petty, but it's just like, but this clip I could show you, it's about 18 minutes long, where he gonna sit here and talk about how this police officer that works for the same police force that he works for, you see what I'm saying, was outside at a bar, stalking this one certain bar and molesting women that were drunk from this bar. Now he's been fired, however, but it took them a year to fucking indict him. What? You see what I'm saying? Like, they opened an investigation, but it took you a year. So this whole time, this man could have been out here doing the same shit, just not a cop no more. It just speaks to accountability.
Who the suspect was, you know, he can. I'm not worried about any of that stuff. That's for the DA to worry about and to deal with. The truth of the matter is, our police department has conducted an effective investigation, a thorough investigation. The investigation continues, and we have every intention of bringing charges against those, the person or persons responsible for her death, and the person or persons responsible for trying to conceal her death by dumping her on the side of a highway in Arkansas. Again, like she was roadkill. And that's that little, every time you see that little picture of that sweet child, it is haunting. And again, I'm just grateful that we got her home. I talked to her grandma, who just was so burdened by the thought of her little granddaughter not being.
Which grandma? He talked to Brenda Bowens? I mean, I'm sure he did, but which grandma? Which grandma he talked to that he felt that she was so heartbroken and all that?
Home, and I know that this has brought some relief to that grandma and those that love.
Let me stop this. Now, that may have been a little bit petty or whatever, but I'm going to give you just a little short rundown of this shit that's going on in Texas right now. You feel what I'm saying? Let's take a look at this. This was today. Now, we going to get to the CPS worker exposing that, and trust me, it's worth it, because he finna tell you a lot of shit. And again, this video is not for anybody that is trying to conceal you know, that portion of the video, because he does talk about how you could keep CPS out of your business, since they are out here trying to just steal people's kids, basically. And he does point that out. But that portion of the video is not intended for people that are trying to conceal or hide or whatever a child's abuse or neglect or whatever. And I want to state that as a disclaimer. I'm not here for that. I'm here for exposing how CPS and Houston police get down in Texas, pretty much.
Sexual assaults are probably the most unreported crime, one of the most unreported crimes in this country. Women and other victims, including males, and sometimes are hesitant to come forward and report the crime. Two, this is a police officer that it even invokes even a greater sense of fear and hesitancy on the part of victims. And three, we believe there are other victims out there of this man who has been charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault and 1 count of official oppression.
Now, really quick, I want to state that this police officer was up under this guy, and there's a lawsuit, or there's articles, and they were looking into how this Acevedo character took care of those rape allegations. Now, you're going to hear in here, he's going to be crying out to other people that may have been a victim. He's also going to state in here that they don't care if those victims were illegally here or not, that he will get justice for them. And I understand getting justice for a victim, but he goes on to state that That's why I wanted to play the whole clip. Because no, this doesn't have anything, this little part, this 18 minutes and 57 seconds doesn't have anything to do with Maleah Davis, but the CPS part, you know, that's involved, and we're going to look into how CPS, you know, with the Maleah Davis case and stuff like that. However, this is the same chief of Houston, and now he's coming to you reporting that now it's a former, right, because he was fired after they found out, which is a good thing, right? But they took like a year to indict this man, to bring him up on charges. So this man could have been out here doing the same thing, just not a police officer no more. That's cool. That's what we doing now. And then he just has this like nonchalant attitude, and I tried to be cool about the shit. Let me just play it. Just listen to his demeanor. But basically with the you know what I'm saying, about the whole thing about if you're a victim, they don't care if you're illegal and all that. He went on to say that you know, they have ways to, now these people could get their green card or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I just kind of wanted to expound on that with you guys. I'm not saying that we just shouldn't care about foreigners and whatever and just be cold-hearted, but at this point in time, anybody after the fact could be like, oh yeah, I was a victim, just so they could get their green card. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. I don't know. But let's listen.
We're really calling on the community that if you have been victimized by this man that you see back here,
Listen.
who is identified as former Deputy Constable Richard Cornejo of Harris County Precinct 4. He was fired previously by, I believe, Mark Herman, who is the constable, when this investigation first started going, and so he's no longer a police officer. When you look at the picture behind you, the picture...
Because, you know, if you get caught molesting or raping a woman that's coming out of the club that may or may not have been intoxicated, they're done with you, right? But when they allegedly didn't know about it. Now, these are the same people that work for their police force, and that's what I'm saying. As far as, like, people are saying, like, can't you just knowingly see this type of thing? Maybe it's not that easy to, like, detect, but we're talking about police detectives that couldn't fucking pick up and detect that this nigga was a rapist. And he just out here raping women. The one woman, she fell asleep in her car after coming out of the bar. It's probably good that she fell asleep, but bad that she then, you know, caused this police officer at the time to look at her way and start fucking with her. And then he said that he would follow her home, and he fucking raped her. And then this Mr. Acevedo took a year to do anything. They took a year to do anything. And he gonna talk about internal affairs and all this and that, and I get that or whatever, but why did it take a year for an indictment? So is that how slow they move? Or for charges to come or whatever, why did it take so long? But if you go out here, and I'm not saying go kill a police dog or go kill a cop or whatever, but if you go kill a cop, they finna right away, bam, you in jail before you even fucking know about it. And then, but we can be harmed by cops, and they could take a fucking year to bring us justice. Yeah, alright.
Sure, on your right is with the facial hair. That is his booking photo from yesterday. The picture, which includes the goatee, the picture on your left is a photo of him in uniform with a mustache. Our victims that we have identified have indicated that he was...
Because it's not just one victim, like the one I told you about a minute ago. No, it's victims. And they think that there's more.
Wearing glasses, prescription glasses at the time of the sexual assault, so he's also known to be wearing glasses. So as people look at this, please keep that in mind. Investigators were initially notified in July of 2018 of an allegation of sexual assault by uniformed Harris County Precinct 4 deputy that you see beside me. The allegation included allegation of a sexual assault that occurred on or about sometime in May of 2018. This investigation was immediately launched under the direction Commander Morris that you see back here, Heather Morris, who has internal affairs, between Proactive Internal Affairs. And the allegation led to a second complainant in November.
Y'all noticed how much he's stuttering, bro? That like his body language, like his demeanor. And I get it, like some people like get excited. Like sometimes when I get excited or when I have a lot of thoughts come into my brain or whatever, like ideas or whatever, even shit I gotta do later on, you know what I'm saying? I will maybe, you know, not get distracted all the way, but you know what I mean? I might forget what I'm saying for a quick second, right? But I hops back in. But this man ain't doing this because he thinking about laundry and the wife and all this and that. He doing this because right now he got to be accountable. And, you know, internal affairs ain't going to come and do this press conference and, you know, take up for their portion of it. I didn't see nothing. This was the only clip related to this on KHOU. I think there's like a short version where they took a little snippet of this and then they were talking in the news studio. But come on, bro, really?
Of 2018. The deputy constable was alleged to be patrolling the Greens Point area and targeting females leaving a nightclub in the area, specifically the Palacios nightclub, Palacios. The location is a well-known after-hours club located at 414 North Sam Houston Parkway. Further investigation allowed investigators to develop that, again, this now former deputy constable, Richard Cornejo, as a lead suspect. The deputy actually provided a statement to investigators earlier on, but the evidence investigators possessed refuted his original statement. Ultimately, former Deputy Cornejo was indicted by a Harris County grand jury for 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault, and 1 count of official oppression. Warrants for his arrest were issued, and investigators with the Houston Police Department's Internal Affairs Division Proactive Unit, with assistance of West Side Patrol officers, placed Richard Cornejo into custody without incident yesterday morning. Again, he was arrested on June 6, 2018,
but what they rearrest him for? You know what I'm saying? And if it would see, and then another thing, if we just allowing rapists to just be able to bail the fuck out, I don't care if they were a civil worker or whatever. Come on now, that's the shit that we don't need. Like, sex offense charges, literally you could sexually offend a child and you're definitely like automatically not going to jail. Like you might go to jail or serve some time, but you might get probation. Like I've seen all type of crazy ass sexual offense. Like when the trial came or the charges were handed down, they were so low, like it was a slap in the face to the victim. And they talking about restitution. No real victim of a sexual assault, especially not a traumatic one, is not out here just for money. And I kind of do side-eye situations where they'll settle, like in a lawsuit or whatever. Kind of like whatever's going on in the Steve Harvey case, and I do want to take a look at that. However, I like to focus on our own communities too, you know what I mean? Or like-minded people, you know, but
he's, as far as we know, still behind bars. The typical method of operation for this criminal was to spend time parked in the parking lot.
Now he's a criminal. He was just the police, though. And then again, y'all are detectives. Y'all are quote-unquote trained, right? So y'all just worked around this man for a period of time, and you ain't know? It's not like he just worked 1 day or 2 days. These are quote-unquote trained people. I swear to God, they better not fuck this Maleah Davis case up.
Of the club, Palacios, and then stop women on traffic as they were leaving the club. From there, he would direct them to another location or follow them home in close proximity to the club, to their home, to one of the victims' homes. So they did not enter his patrol vehicle, which was a marked Tahoe. We do not have official statements from complainants, but secondhand reports of exposure to women at the Club Palacios property. So not only has this guy been charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and official oppression, 1 count of official oppression, we have developed some information. There was also some additional crimes committed by this man, including indecent exposure.
So he was just running around showing his dingling off to everybody and shit? This is why I'd be like, fuck the cops, bro. because they in everybody else's fucking business. Like, they will, like, people are getting locked up for traffic offenses. Like, what? We have the right to travel and shit, but you got to know how to talk. You know what I mean? It's not about filing paperwork and all that shit. You got to know how to talk. You got to know what portions and statutes to, like, call out. But these dudes can just run around and do what the fuck ever. And probably people knew and just didn't say nothing. Just like that alleged good cop bullshit, you know, or whatever. You know how they have like this brotherly bond or whatever. And even if they may not agree, they ain't finna tell. There's been a lot of stories where people have been fucked up by the cops, and then like the other cop won't, the one that doesn't agree, he won't say shit though. He won't do shit though. And then he just out here raping people for a year and shit or whatever, like for this amount of time. Women that were drunk, and that civil capacity or whatever charge or whatever he said, that's because he was lawful, like he was a constable at the time. That's what a cop is. They just a constable on patrol. It's COP. You know what I'm saying? The slave catcher type of shit. That it's the same shit. If you look at the badge, I wish I would have pulled the badge up. I be thinking of shit like that during my live stream, like, fuck, why I ain't do this or why I ain't do that. So bear with me, y'all. But real shit though. Am I wrong? Am I tripping?
So, and trying to expose other women, forcing them to expose themselves. We really, really urge people to look at this picture, to imagine him in that uniform with glasses on, and to please come forward. We always stand with the proposition here in the Houston Police Department for our victims of sexual assault that we believe you. Having said that, once that outcry comes in, we leave no stone unturned to get to all the facts. And what we're looking for today is really, we want the other victims, whether it's from indecent exposure or any other act of official oppression, please come forward. Lastly, if you're a person, again, that's undocumented and you're even more fearful of coming forward, please know that we have tools with the U Visa program and other programs to actually protect you from deportation, and that's just official government policy that we protect our victims.
Now, I'm never saying that you should not protect the victim or whatever, but, and I'm not saying that, oh, well, they were illegally over here, so who gives a fuck or whatever. And in that case, I would say, no, they should not get in trouble or whatever, but just like if they were planning to just give people citizenship, basically anybody could just, after this, you know, press conference that just happened today, they could just now go there and, you know, fake state that they were, you know what I mean? Or maybe they were, but now, like, all these people are going to have, you know what I'm saying, citizenship. Or what about the people that are here and they're victimized and they're still scared to come forward? Because this man's sitting here wearing the same damn cop outfit that he telling you to look on the thing, look on. Now he's not one of us, but at the time he was wearing this. We know what he was wearing because, you know what I mean? Then he talking about glasses. You got the glasses on. And if I was victimized by that man, I would kind of think about, dude, right here telling me about the other dude. I don't know, maybe I'm tripping. But you just get, like, again, these are highly trained people, correct? You know what I'm saying? They're supposed to be able to know everything from homicide and shit. And we've already heard about police that then killed their wife or killed this person, that person and shit. I can give you stories forever about police fucking up and doing and being involved in all type of fucked up shit. But like this what they on, and it took a year for real charges to come. So what's gonna happen now? He just got a couple more charges because they said that they arrested him last year. So did I miss that part or something? Or did he just conveniently skip over it? Where was this man at? How did he get out? Did he bail out? I might have missed that. Because this is really the first time. I just seen the title and looked, because at first I thought it was Maleah Davis, because, you know, I'm expecting him to come same type of shit, but it say something else. And then I was like, wait a minute. And then I was listening, and I was like, hell no, I'm bringing this to the royal family. So I hadn't even got, like, you know what I'm saying, 2 minutes in, I was kind of like, you know how you'll go here and you'll like flick through it to see if you actually want to hear or jump through the video. I'm sure people do that sometimes when I ramble through mine. But you know what I'm saying? And I must have just heard that part about the green cards or whatever. And I'm not saying like let's flip out or nothing. But what I'm saying is that could be true, that people are now going to be using this to get in or whatever. And also the accountability of this police department that is handling the Maleah Davis case. Also remember that there's several children in this area that are missing. So what, they got some fucking baby killers on their squad too? That's why I say fuck the police. Let's listen to some more though.
Do not fear coming forward. Please step forward. We want to bring justice to all of our victims. And with that, the investigation again is ongoing to try to identify these other victims of the exposure that we have information on, but we still have not been able to actually contact the victims. And we're just asking anybody that was victimized by this former police officer who not only violated the penal code, right, not only violated, committed these sexual acts, we also have a man that violated his oath of office. And I'm just grateful that Mark Herman terminated his employment, and he won't be misusing the authority given to him by the people of the state of Texas and Harris County. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
But I would also like to say, before we get to questions and all this other shit, right? You know, he learned a lot from the police department as far as hiding crimes and stuff. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, doing stuff. What else was he involved in? What else is anybody on this police force involved in? And then again, he was out for all this time. Like, I do not think that if you get, you know, I know that you got to have your day in court, innocent until proven guilty and yada, yada, yada. But I don't think that if you get a sexual offense charge, you should just get, like, out on a bail or nothing. Because it's not just like, you know, you get sexually abused and then you get closure at court and you go home. It could be a smell, a taste, it could be a fucking picture or something, a sound, anything that reminds you of being victimized. You see what I'm saying? And these little lame ass charges and fucking, yeah, I mean, a sexual assault charge is straight or whatever, but they got all these categories and shit. Like, sometimes you don't even have to register as a sex offender. So all you moms that have, you know, sex offender locator apps or whatever, registry in your phone, and you're trying to check on your kids and make sure, you know what I'm saying? Because they do have them. They're not going to come up on there. You're not going to get a picture. And not all the time do you get a picture anyway. I've seen, like, horrendous crimes on them apps done. You know, it will state that, but you don't even get to see a picture of this motherfucker. Like, why is there no policing done here? And we're going to talk, you know, this comes up in the CPS shit too, though. Molestation and shit. Or sexual abuse.
I'll move to Spanish.
I heard a statement yesterday said that he admitted to it, that it was consensual sex. What was your reaction?
You know what? We're not. I don't know. I didn't see his statement. I can just tell you that you don't get charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault when you're engaging in consensual sex.
He said that type of effect in the Maleah Davis case. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I want to state that at first, allegedly in 2018 or whatever, when he was locked up for the, or you know, they fired him. I think they just gave him some charges and sent his ass home, because I didn't hear him say anything about bail or anything. He just said that he was originally locked up, you know, of 2000 and last year, some shit, or 2018. And he just out here for all this time. Like, bro, that's what I'm saying. Like, they need to be held, like, responsible, bro. Like, and nobody should be out here putting fake charges on people or whatever because you're mad or anything like that, calling CPS because you're mad. That shit's petty as fuck and it's stupid as hell. But, like, where's the accountability here?
It was usually happening at night, late at night.
Of course, because they were at the club.
When women were coming out of this one bar that we know about, this one nightclub in the Greenspoint area, which is an after-hours club, and quite frankly, you know, he was probably stopping people that he thought were intoxicated and trying to take advantage of.
Bruh.
Oh, I'm talking about the time? Well, the time frame
Sorry,
that we're
y'all.
aware of in this case is the summer of 2018 when we started the investigation. But that's just it. We really believe there's other victims. We don't know this when this conduct started. Do you?
Okay, well, start these motherfucking charges. How long you gonna wait? How long you gonna wait? How many more people gotta be victimized? Just because he's not a police no more don't mean he just stopped raping people.
No, when he became a police officer?
I believe it was 2016.
So he became a police officer, we believe, in 2016.
So for the last 3 years, he possibly could have been raping bitches or women. I'm sorry, I'm irritated, y'all.
So from the time he became employed as a precinct 4 constable in 2016, moving forward, just please, if you were victimized by the way, we don't care when it happened. We don't even care if it's a police officer. Victims, we want you to come forward. We want you to know that you're going to be believed. And we want you to know that we're going to take the allegations seriously. And this is an individual that was in uniform, a person with authority. And when that outcry was made, we took it seriously. We moved very quickly to start investigating as a result of the work of the Commander Morris and her team.
And you have to understand why he said it like that, because they were already looking at him because he was not moving forward with this case. You see what I'm saying? It's not like they just expedited this shit. No, fam, no. Indicted on sexual abuse charges. Why are we waiting a year fucking later for that to happen?
Proactive.
And the community was coming down in Houston on him for not acting in this case. That's important to mention. That's another reason why he's nervous in this motherfucker. He nervous as hell.
We've actually been able to get 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault and 1 count of official oppression. We don't know, but we strongly believe there are other victims out there. And it's always why I always tell people, when you know what's on top of the water line, you wonder how deep the pattern of criminal behavior went, right? So we want to know what we don't know, and we need the community's help, and we need the media's help to get it out to the community.
I honestly thought he got away with it for
Yeah.
what's your message to anyone else who may be out there doing this and looking back on taking advantage?
I mean, let me tell you, we take an oath of office as police officers, as peace officers, as trusted members of society, and when we violate that oath of office, you know, your typical person on the streets, they didn't take an oath of office. So not only are you violating the penal code in terms of the underlying act, you're also violating public trust. And you're also violating the oath we took to the rule of law, to obeying all laws. And so our message to police officers is that when it comes to our attention, we're going to come after you. From our perspective, it's even more important to go after a person who is wearing a uniform and misusing that uniform to commit crimes, and then using that authority given to them to initiate traffic stops and enforcement contacts, and then to actually go out and do what this man did. To us, that is more important than a person that's not a police officer, because they're not just committing sexual assaults, they're actually also violating public trust.
But again, why did it take all this time for you to bring this in? Why did the public even have to cry out that you weren't moving fast enough in this case? And how did this man work for you guys for 3 years? And you guys didn't detect that he's fucked up in the head, but you guys have all this fucking training, right?
What's your message to the victims? Maybe you're concerned that, they themselves did something by something for this moment and they're wanted in the car. What's your message to them when they think of, well, what about all these other people?
Our focus is on a man that has sexually assaulted, committed aggravated sexual assault on women. That's our focus. That's what we're going to be asking about. We're going to be asking about his conduct, and we're going to focus on his conduct. And I assure you that, knowing my DA, she's more interested in a police officer, a former police officer that during the scope of employment was actually committing these pretty heinous acts.
She's more interested in a police officer that was basically allegedly doing his job while he was doing this than what? Than somebody else? So if a random person on the street did some shit, and how this DA is moving so fast in this case, but we're still a fucking year out, and I get that he doesn't know how many other victims there are, but they do believe that there's more victims. But again, how many people did he victimize after he got out of these petty ass charges you initially charged him with?
So our message is we're going to focus on violent sexual assault and not focus on somebody having marijuana or whatever else they might be afraid of.
You stand up here and obviously it's a big deal that the police chief speaking to these people all the time, don't be afraid, but is it true that, you don't have these people come?
Why would he say he would be that whole part about the marijuana? So that's what he's saying, he's more concerned about that than somebody having marijuana? Well, in this case, it wouldn't matter if they had marijuana at the time of they shit or not. They were still raped or molested, right? By this dude, right? So why would he say that? Like, I don't know. I just don't like this dude, man. I just don't feel like he genuine. And again, like, you talking all this shit about what your office is gonna do and all that, but you're not moving swiftly in this case. You at least have a couple of cases that you can charge him with, so do that shit. You should have did it off the first one. Don't nobody just sit around and wait for people to come in and, oh, we're waiting for more people. 5 years later, we're waiting on more victims. No, man.
Well, he's
Well,
well,
I'm saying, like, how do you tell people, like, you can stand here and tell them to not be afraid, but if you don't have people come forward, it's not like this.
yeah, look, first of all, he's already got 2 charges. But I believe that part of the healing process for victims of crime, part of the healing process is making sure that they get justice. I believe wholeheartedly that without justice, if they have been victimized by him or someone else, that a big part of that is bringing that suspect to justice. 1, 2, we want to be able to help people with our victim services and our partners at the Human Area Women's Center to get them the wraparound services they may need to help them with the emotional roller coaster that victims, especially victims of sexual assault, go through. We want to turn these victims into survivors. We want to hold this man accountable for every crime he's committed, and the only way we can do that is if people come forward. And so we're hoping that the victims that are out there that may be afraid, the fact that he's been charged, that he's been investigated and arrested and charged, is proof that we're going to take it seriously, and we're going to bring you justice, and we're going to bring him to justice, and we're going to bring justice to his victims. Yes, ma'am. That's our belief.
Corin Hardman, there was pictures of him in the beginning. I will be looking in further to this case, so we will definitely have a picture, and I will probably be posting this just up on the website alone. I probably should have waited for this, but again, it ties into the Maleah Davis case, because this is the same chief in that case or whatever, and one of these dudes, that he just did this. So how many other people on the police force are fucked up, or gonna fucked up, or incompetent? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
I don't know.
See, and then all that stuttering don't sit well with me. Now I get it, people stutter sometimes or whatever. Like, if you genuinely stutter, like if you stutter all the time, I understand. You know what I'm saying? That's different. But when you stutter because you're nervous, this man is nervous. And it's not because he's making a press conference. He does this on a regular, like his job demands it. It's in his description. It's not his first run. He's nervous because he's being thrown under the mud. And if, you know, I'm going to play a little bit more of this, or are you guys done? Because I would like to move on to CPS, but I can also show you, I'll just probably make a video on it, because he is being looked at, you know, by the community because he failed these women. They're playing with these charges. They're taking all day. There's like a lawsuit out or something. I don't want to misspeak or whatever, but they looking into it. You know what I mean? Again, I was late, so I couldn't kind of check all the way in or whatever as far as this, but I know that it's new. I know that this just came out 7 hours ago. You see what I'm saying? And this is the sheriff in Texas, or the, you know what I'm saying, the chief or whatever.
Off the top of my head.
So y'all tell me if y'all ready to move on or not, if y'all want to listen to the rest.
We'll send you that out. But the truth is, we need to focus not on time frames, we need to focus on that face. We need to focus on a police officer, and quite frankly, whether it's him or someone else, our message goes beyond this case. It goes beyond this instance. It goes beyond this. It goes beyond to the fact that we know that sexual assault, especially in a community with 600,000 immigrants, many of them that are afraid, we want to know when someone's a victim. We want them to come forward. 2 women had the courage to cooperate with us, 2 victims, and without them, we wouldn't be standing here today talking about 2 counts of aggravated sexual assault and 1 count of official oppression. Okay? We're going to move into Spanish here in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, listen, we're not going to wait for the Spanish version, but I just want to hear up to the Spanish version. I don't speak Spanish, so salute to anybody that does, but I think it would be unfair if we had to sit another 5 minutes. And
yeah, I mean, when a person's wearing a uniform and a gun and a badge and they stop you, and maybe you are in possession of marijuana, or you've been drinking, or you shouldn't have been driving, and you engage in sexual conduct, how can you have consent? I mean, that's what official oppression is all about. And so we're not going to sit here and debate the elements of the charge. Suffice it to say that we've worked very closely with the district attorney's office, and we've secured three counts here: 2 of aggravated sexual assault and 1 of official oppression. Yes.
I want to know, was the woman charged? You know, in the beginning, I told you guys that one of the victims had actually passed out outside of this bar that he frequently went to at, like, after hours while he was on duty, and would wait for drunk women, and she was sleeping drunk in her car. And I want to know, was she charged with DUI? I'm not saying that she should, but I want to know about that case too. That's another reason why I want to look into it.
One more in English, I'm going to move to Spanish, and we can do English on the to get these guys going.
You would approach them and say something to them, like what was how we operated?
Yeah, I mean, look, he'd stop them for a traffic, and then he'd end up engaging in these 2 instances where we know he sexually assaulted somebody. So you can look at the charging document. I'm sure you can find it later on, but I'm not going to get into the details. Yeah, last one.
It was really, really different in these 2 photos.
Yeah.
Is it like he was fine to change?
No, I mean, he's no longer a cop here, right?
Okay, he gonna get the. Well, I'll show the photo. Yeah. Okay.
Again, remember
that's what he looked like right there.
The reports from our victims are he was wearing glasses, prescription glasses. Okay, en español. Hoy queremos decir que.
Now, basically, for those of you, let's switch into Kanika Jenkins mode, right? Those of you that know, everybody should know by now that there were CPS issues going on in the thing. Hold on, there's one more clip on it. I don't know if we went over this yesterday or not, but there was a couple about the phone records, but we'll just play this again. It's only 2 minutes and 51 seconds. And then we'll look at a clip of the CPS and the protesters so we can get that fresh on our mind. And then we'll head for the former Texas CPS worker that is exposing them.
In jail, Marcelo Benito is there. Maleah, the Houston police chief, vowing that no stone will be left unturned in the investigation into Maleah's death. Today, investigators are going through the only suspect, Darian Vince's cell phone records. He's still in jail. Marcelo Benito is there tonight with a look at what police are hoping to find in Vince's phone records.
Len, HPD Chief Art Acevedo reiterated today that the person or persons responsible for Maleah's death and a possible cover-up will be held accountable. Now this new search warrant seizing Darian Vince's cell phone records could help lead investigators to others who may have been involved. 2 weeks before Maleah's body was found off the side of the highway in Arkansas, Houston police had a close eye on Maleah's stepdad, Darian Vince.
We were confident that the suspect we had in custody probably was involved in her killing.
HPD Chief Art Acevedo speaking for the first time since Maleah's remains were found. And on the same day, KHOU 11 News obtained a copy of this search warrant for Vince's cell phone records. Police requested Vince's call history, texts, data, geolocation, even search history from Verizon from April 30th to May 15th.
Suffice it to say, we want to leave no stone unturned to get to the bottom of what happened to that child. Every time you see that little picture of that sweet child, it is haunting.
Maleah was last seen on camera walking home behind Vince on April 30th. She's never seen leaving again. Vince is captured exiting the apartment with a laundry basket and large black trash bag. Quan LX says Vince confessed she was dead, that it was an accident, and that he had dumped the body out of state.
I'm heartened and I'm relieved that we've been able to find her.
I forgot. I'm sorry, y'all. God damn it.
Instead of on the side of a road where a coward and or
here, we'll go back to her. I'm sorry, y'all. God damn it.
2 weeks
I'm still getting used to
body
this.
was found off the side of the highway in Arkansas. Houston police had a close eye on Maleah's stepdad, Darian Vince.
We were confident that the suspect we had in custody probably was involved in her killing.
HPD Chief Art Acevedo speaking for the first time since Maleah's remains were found. And on the same day, KHOU 11 News obtained a copy of this search warrant for Vince's cell phone records. Police requested Vince's call history, texts, data, geolocation, even search history from Verizon from April 30th to May 15th.
Suffice it to say, we want to leave no stone unturned to get to the bottom of what happened to that child. Every time you see that little picture of that sweet child, it is haunting.
Maleah was last seen on camera walking home behind Vince on April 30th. She's never seen leaving again. Vince is captured exiting the apartment with a laundry basket and large black trash bag. Quan LX says Vince confessed she was dead, that it was an accident, and that he had dumped the body out of state.
I'm heartened and I'm relieved that we've been able to find her and bring her home where she belongs, instead of on the side of a road where a coward and or one or more persons that are cowards with no soul just dumped her like she's a roadkill somewhere.
Finding Maleah was an important step, Chief Acevedo says, but the investigation is far from over.
And we have every intention of bringing charges against those, the person or persons responsible for her death, and the person or persons responsible for trying to conceal her death by dumping her on the side of a highway in Arkansas.
Darian Vince remains locked up here at the Harris County Jail facing tampering with a corpse charges. He is due back in court next month. We're reporting from downtown. I'm Mark.
Alright, I'm not even going to switch my screens because when I do that, then that's when we have issues. So I'm going to stop doing that. And I'm sorry that I just played that clip, a portion of it, and you guys couldn't see it, but I'm going to stop doing that, or try to. But sometimes I do have to cover up my screen because I might have sensitive information, but that should be not that much. But this is just going to be a reminder for the CPS, and also that protesters were upset about this. This is also KHOU 11. Really short clip, 44 seconds, and then we're going to shoot over to the CPS worker exposing what's going on.
Advocates with Parents Against Predators protested outside the CPS office off Merworth this afternoon. They blamed the state agency for failing to keep Maleah Davis safe. Protesters say if the state had kept Maleah in their custody and not returned her to the family, none of this would be happening today. They are demanding accountability and answers so this does not happen to another child.
The system and every adult in her life involved. Every adult that's involved in her life let her down.
I'm gonna stand here as a parent, as a mother, because they're wrong, and they need to start looking out for things and these children the way that they're supposed to.
Now, CPS could not comment on today's protest. There is a gag order on Maleah's case. Advocates.
All right. Now, I think it's important that we take a look, as I've stated, at this because, hold on.
Oregon.
Make sure that there's no ads. Okay. Because it's important to get an account of inside CPS, right? Maleah was failed by CPS, correct? I think so. I don't think that she should have ever been returned home under, those pretexts. It's not like, it was something petty. We're talking about several brain injuries. Her skull was removed, a portion of it. And again, Brittany didn't go to classes. She didn't do shit, allegedly for the CPS case. So I'm wondering, I also want to state, though, that I know that people go through CPS that don't deserve to go through it. And they're going to talk about this here, too. But there is a thing where CPS does get or reap some type of benefit from removing children from the home. And that, in a lot of cases, is what's going on. But the abuse and the, pedophilia and shit is not what gets kids removed. It's neglect. You see what I'm saying? And he's going to state that. I've seen several of his videos. He's been out speaking about this for a while. Sub to him on my other channel. His name is Carlos Morales. And quite a couple of years ago, 5 years ago, he started speaking out. This was almost when, freshly after he decided that he could not do CPS no more. His first case was very severe, and he's gonna explain that. However, he also saw times where they could have reunified the family and the children, but that was not what CPS wanted to do. Little petty things that can get your kids taken. But I think that, and I know that this is a little bit old or whatever, but he's still out speaking out. I just kind of thought that this was one of the better versions, and the story is pretty much the same every time, so it doesn't, matter. But I thought it was important to at least hear, because he was a Texas CPS worker, and watch him basically tell his truth, after he quit doing this because he couldn't agree with it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into it.
My name is Carlos Morales. I work for Child Protective Services in San Antonio, Texas from February 2012 to March 2013. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty of what many other Americans are guilty of, which is believing that an agency, even though it's committed atrocity after atrocity, has the best interests of children and families in mind. I'm guilty of working for an agency that has hampered freedom repeatedly, that has done things that are so unconstitutional that it would make the DEA blush. I'm guilty of working for an agency that has promoted the drug war in a way, again, that would make the DEA blush. Because we've removed children for the faults of their parents, but those faults are them smoking pot while they were in high school. I'm guilty of working for an agency that has thrown children in foster homes, that has kidnapped children and thrown them in foster homes, where they're 6 times more likely to die than in abusive homes. I'm guilty of working for Child Protective Services. Within CPS, we hurt. We did not help. We did what Adolf Hitler always spoke of, which is to take control of children. Because by doing so, you take control of the future. Of course, following the Prussian system, the United States took over children first through public education, but now they do it through this.
It's the Zaza. Basically, we're taking a look. This is Carlos Morales. He is exposing CPS. He was a CPS worker in Texas. He was a CPS worker in Austin, Texas, but You know, the CPS workers pretty much, you know, are the same as far as per state goes. But he's basically going to talk about his experience working there, kidnapping. Basically, that's what they're doing, is kidnapping people's children. Because basically, I just want to shed light on maybe possible reasons why these kids may have been neglected or whatever. I don't think that the answer is in this, but also I feel like hearing him expound on it, he is a former CPS worker of Texas, and he is exposing what goes on behind the scenes. So I think it's kind of maybe important to take an inside look. I looked for more recent or more coming out from Texas, but a lot, when they spoke, they wanted to be, you know, behind, like their voice all messed up so you couldn't really detect it was them, and they had used some type of way to, you know, turned off the lights or whatever and just had them speaking with like a robot voice or whatever. So I just wanted to have some type of material to just be able to look into CPS, since they are claiming that, and I believe it, that CPS failed Maleah in this case. She should have never went back to Brittany, you know what I'm saying, period, after all those brain injuries. But let's get back into it.
The state ownership of children, because within the United States, the parent does not own the child. The state does.
However, what he's going to say is important regardless. If you have children out there, you need to listen, because this goes on all over America, and that's why it doesn't matter really if it's 5 years old or whatever. It's just ramped up and gotten worse. You see what I'm saying? But if you have children, he's going to talk about ways that the tactics that they use to get your children. And now this is not for anybody that is trying to conceal or whatever any abuse. This is for parents, because nowadays you could literally just be mad at somebody and then call CPS on them. You see what I'm saying? And then they have to go through this whole process. So he's going to expose that as well. He's going to expose a lot of sides of it. You see what I'm saying?
Within Child Protective Services, you know, there's always this claim that all the bad things that occur is because of a few bad apples, because of a few bad individuals. That's why they have a bad reputation. Not that the entire agency is based on the idea that it is important to remove children from their homes. It's based around the idea that you are guilty until proven innocent. We used force, not finesse, because that's all the state knows. That's all the state can do. You know, it's kind of to take it back to me. In my first case, which was my best case, we went into a home. When we got there were DEA agents swarmed around the house, and I could hear the DEA speaking badly about one of the parents. I saw the door. The door had been broken open. I got into the house, and there was this smell, this terrible smell, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. The couches were flipped over, there were beer cans in the back, there was no electricity to knock out this terrible smell. It just stunk the entire house. I turned around the corner, and I saw another door that had been broken in, and I realized what the smell was. It was the shit of children, fecal matter, all on the walls, all on the floor, because that's where the drug dealers were storing their drugs. In order to prevent people from coming in and stealing it, it was a way to prevent that. Of course, this kind of disgusting display of actions by drug dealers would be impossible without the drug war, which is funded by the state. You know, that's kind of outside the point. What occurred afterwards was I left the house and I heard a woman screaming. That woman was the mother. She was begging for her child. She was stating that it was because of a bad situation that they were in the home, that they had only been there for a few days. We weren't able to figure out whether or not that was true, but we could tell that this woman was in quite despair. The CPS investigator I was with, though, well, she didn't really care. She showed a lack of empathy. A lack of empathy that is all around the agency. The woman cried, and the investigator actually laughed at her despair. I heard some other people speaking. They were running towards the house. They were the neighbors. They were family members. And
now you might think that somebody that has their children you know, living in a situation like that, definitely you should not have any compassion for. However, and I'm not saying that they should be like, oh my God, and I'm so sorry for you and everything like that. They should still be assertive with this mother. However, to laugh in her face, like, your job is, yes, child protective services or whatever, but the ultimate in their mission or whatever is to reunify children allegedly back into the home. However, this is not being done. And you're gonna hear, like, I'm gonna let you listen.
And they begged to be able to keep the children, to prevent them from going to the foster home. And even though supposedly Child Protective Services aims to keep families together, there wasn't even an attempt to check if these children should go with that family. They were yelling about how foster homes are places where children are routinely molested, drugged, and abused. And the investigators with yet again laughed at this idea. And in my mind, in my naive mind, I thought, we're the heroes today. We're the ones who are preventing these kids from living a bad life. We threw them in the back of my car. We drove off. We threw them in a foster home. And again, I felt like I was a hero. But in those foster homes, those kids were drugged. They were abused. They were thrown into another public system. And they were no better off than when we first got there. In any case, they were much worse off. And you gotta kind of ask yourself, who is an investigator? Who are these people who are taking children away? Well, it's not like they're well prepared for what they're doing. You see, in Child Protective Services, all you need is a bachelor's degree. And that bachelor's degree, in some cases, was a degree in saxophone jazz from Berklee College of Music.
Did you guys just hear what he said? So basically, they could take your child, and sometimes they would have things, college degrees that don't even apply to children, or with dealing with the community or anything like that. A degree in playing the saxophone, that qualifies them in order to take your children.
That, coupled with 2 months of training, is what makes an investigator. That investigator has to be a therapist because they have to be able to tell when someone is lying. They also have to be able to ask questions without bias to children who are 4 years old. They have to be a police officer because they have to go into highly dangerous situations, or what they believe to be highly dangerous situations. They have to be a judge because they have to be able to dictate what's going to occur to these people. And they have to be a psychic because they have to use the powerful tool of violent central planning to dictate exactly what's going to happen to these people. And be able to guess with their wonderful aura of imagination what's going to occur to these children. There is a hero complex, and there's a culture of martyrdom that goes on in Child Protective Services, because what you're told is that you're the one who's going to help all these children. You're the one who's going to save all the kids, and you're God Almighty. You see, what happens is, it's not as Alex Jones puts it, where there's a bonus given for every single child that is kidnapped by a CPS investigator. No. You see, what happens is that you get reviewed every month, and for every child that has been kidnapped from their home, the investigator is given a raise by the end of the year. You see, the locus of control is always removed by investigator to investigator, from supervisor to the state, in order to not have to have the feeling of self-responsibility. And while removing that locus of control, you can always blame any kind of inaccuracies or terrible atrocities that occur on someone else. So it's never as in front, it's never as clear that simply you're given a bonus for every child that you steal. But in many, many ways, you're still considered the hero, because the person who removes 3 kids in a week, well, that person's applauded. The person who prevents 3 children from being removed in a week, well, that person's called lazy. And what I saw in Child Protective Services...
Let me just say, in another interview, I don't know if he's going to say it in this one, but in a one that he did with this lady, he had stated that they were, you know, when like reviews would come for, you know, a pay increase, those that took the more children got the most pay increases. So they are paid an incentive.
This was not the prevention of abuse, because physical abuse was rarely what we ever dealt with. I'm an individual who recognizes and acknowledges the fact that physical abuse traumatizes a child in ways that we can't even possibly imagine. Study after study shows that even though we use the term spanking, it really is a violent action against children, but in Child Protective Services, spanking isn't what's incorrect. No, you're allowed to get away with that. What's incorrect is physical and emotional neglect, which are two terms that are easily abused, and they're abused by Child Protective Services. You see, if you admit to using marijuana on a weekend when you weren't with your kids, that's considered emotional and physical neglect. And that can lead to the removal of children. Because again, we're just continuously using the drug war to destroy these families.
And that's true. Because if you're not aware, the real reason why, and I'm not saying that they should legalize heroin or, you know what I'm saying, all this other crazy shit, but they want you on these prescription meds. You know what I'm saying? So when they catch you with like weed or whatever, we'll just say weed. A lot of the therapists will say you're trying to self-medicate, and it's like, no, like maybe those medicines that you are giving to people, when they take it, it doesn't do it for them, but weed does. You see what I'm saying? But they know that people are abusing these drugs, right? And rarely do they ever get help. Like, you might get rehab or whatever, but nobody is really, off of these real drugs, nobody's really going to get help until they're ready. You can make them go through it because of court or criminal or whatever CPS case, but nobody's going to get help if they don't want it. You see what I'm saying? So they're never going to get clean. They're just going to be doing it so that they can get through with this CPS case, and hopefully they can get through these UAs, and then they're going to keep tripping up and shit. And CPS knows this, and they're riding off of that. It's a lot of corporations playing together to, make the board set for them.
But what's even worse is the kind of evidence that we used. You see, an anonymous reporter can call in to Child Protective Services and say, oh, these parents, they're molesting children, they're abusing them, they're snorting cocaine off their asses of their children, they're part of the mafia, they have guns. You see, they can make up whatever they want, and Child Protective Services will go out and carry out the investigation, in which we will ask 4-year-old children if they've ever been touched by their parent. Again, we're using shaky evidence based off the memory of the memory of the memory of the memory of another individual, and supposedly with that, that's enough evidence to call for the removal of a child. And what's best is that even if we're able to disprove every single claim, if we can get the parent to admit to anything in regards to drugs, we still get the removal. So even if the claim and allegations weren't even in regards to that, we can still use it to take them away. And you have to wonder, why is it Child Protective Services has the incentive to take away children and not to help them out? Well, it's because for every single removal Child Protective Services gets, that's another grant that the state will give them. Because Child Protective Services is based off of this system. And the collusion between foster homes and CPS is even more tragic. Because you see, foster homes get more money for every single child that they get. This is how we have 650,000 kids right now in foster homes. But what makes it worse is that for every single diagnosis a child gets, that foster home is given more money. Now, these diagnoses, they're not the child being paralyzed. No. You see, what happens is you take a child, you throw them into a state hospital, and then that's where they come up with the diagnosis. You see, if a kid is removed from his home, his church,
or they can just get a referral and go to the doctor, and then they get a diagnosis that way. They do that all the time. Out in Minnesota, they do. And shout out to the good CPS workers out there or whatever, and shout out to all, if your heart is in it and you're really out here trying to do right and unify children, and you're fighting against the system, and that's your job, that's what you chose to do, then salute to you. But please do your job well, because the life of these children are in your hands ultimately. Not only whatever they are subject to, they will be getting grown and unleashed into society basically with no help. You know what I mean? How would it feel to be raised up from a baby or a young child in a foster home, and then when you get 18, like, there's nobody that you can really share that with, like, your life with, or go refer back to? You know what I'm saying? Foster homes are very cold. It's not like an inviting place. Again, shout out to those that are good at what they do. But CPS would not have no money if they just kept reunifying children and really trying to get to the source of the problem.
Community.
And salute to everybody that entered the room. Duke, I've been wanting to say this for a while. John Q, anybody that I missed, salute. You guys have been commenting some good things, and I'm reading them as we go. Damn,
promoted the drug war in a way, again,
we was
that would
over
make
here,
the
right?
DEA blush.
Damn it.
Anonymous reporter can call in to
Damn, I don't even feel like we was
Dave.
There. How far was we?
All the kids, and your God Almighty.
We're going to start it back
see,
there at 7.
What happens is, it's not as Alex Jones puts it, where there's a bonus given for every single child that is kidnapped by a CPS investigator. No. You see, what happens is that you get reviewed every month. And for every child that has been kidnapped from their home, the investigator is given a raise by the end of the year. You see, the locus of control is always removed by investigator to investigator, from supervisor to the state, in order to not have to have the feeling of self-responsibility. And while removing that locus of control, you can always blame any kind of inaccuracies or terrible atrocities that occur on someone else. So it's never as in front, it's never as clear that simply you're given a bonus for every child that you steal. But in many, many ways, you're still considered the hero, because the person who removes 3 kids in a week, well, that person's applied.
Oh, we went too much.
The person who prevents,
I'm sorry, I accidentally clicked the button.
They're not the child being paralyzed. No. You see, what happens is, you take a child, you throw them into a state hospital, and then that's where they come up with the diagnosis. You see, if a kid is removed from his home, his
right
church,
around
his
here.
community, his school, you throw him into a foster home where he's more likely to be abused, raped, and murdered, where he doesn't want to be, that kid might lash out. He might go against authority. He might not be able to pay attention to school. He might not be able to pay attention to the dictates of adults who he does not know. Well, it's not the situation that's wrong. It's not the social order that's wrong. No, it's that that kid is suffering from a mental illness. It needs to be remedied through the use of drugs. You see, that kid, according to them, has oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD, manic depression, schizophrenia, and insomnia. Well, that's now several diagnoses that that child has, which means more money for the foster home. And this is how you get 80% of foster children being diagnosed with a mental disorder. 80%. And those children, on average, being in those foster homes for 2 years. These drugs, they're not light. There are 9 million children in the United States on antipsychotic medication. Medications with over 40 side effects. And there's no clinical tests on these kids because they consider that to be immoral. No. They make guinea pigs out of children. They make guinea pigs out of people in the midst of their development, at the worst points of their life. And what's even worse is when your child ends up in foster home, well, that's when you have to go to court. You see, the issue is that the judge and the prosecutor are paid by the same people. And those people benefit from those children being removed. I've had judges check their email in the middle of court cases while a mother is crying. And I've seen judges laugh at these people because they think they're irresponsible or terrible because CPS stated so. It's so unconstitutional that it makes you kind of hurt because there's no jury. It's all the dictates of the judge. It can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to get out of a case. I was recently helping out someone who was in West Virginia, and it cost them $200,000 to try and disprove the claim that their child is being molested. And is there any kind of money given back to them? Well, of course not. Because this is a game to them. I've heard prosecutors, defense attorneys, and judges joking outside of courtrooms about the cases that they're involved in. So what you have to think about is, what do you do if Child Protective Services comes after you and your family? There's a good chance that we're all one call away if you're a parent from Child Protective Services coming after you. First off, if your child is in public schooling, get them out. But I mean, if you can't, what you have to do is let your child know about CPS, even if they're 5 years old, which sounds daunting, it sounds terrible, but...
Now, this stuff is not for people that want to conceal any type of abuse. This is people, royal family members, that may be targeted. You know, nowadays, you know that somebody could not like you or whatever, or something stupid. These CPS workers will manipulate the situation. You see what I'm saying? Hello, Stacy. Much love. And welcome, Queen Callie, and you're welcome.
You see, because Child Protective Services and the state owns a child, they can come to a child at any point and ask them questions. And that's what builds their evidence. You see, as an investigator, I would go out to public schools, remove a child from the classroom that he might now already want to be in, throw them in a room, usually a dark room, where the child is scared, and there's a large Hispanic man who's asking him questions regarding sexual molestation by his parents. The child probably wants to leave, he probably wants to get out, and he might answer yes or no to questions that he does not understand. And what that child does not realize is that yes or no is sealing his fate. That's why you need to let your child know about CPS, and to know that no matter what question they ask, tell them to tell the CPS investigator, I do not want to talk to you. No matter what, no matter how pushy they are, just simply state, I don't want to talk to you. Now, if you've gotten to that point, what occurs next is the CPS investigator coming to your home. Hello, my name is Dan. I'm from Child Protective Services. Can I please come into your home? This is where you state no. Although I'm not the biggest fan of the Constitution, you still have the Fourth Amendment, and occasionally it gets to be respected. A Child Protective Service investigator is not allowed into your home unless he has a warrant. And if it's an anonymous report, well, then he has nothing. He can't get a warrant. The actual amount of paperwork and judges and everyone else that he has to go through in order to get a warrant is incredibly daunting to an investigator who's probably bored and inefficient in their job because he's a state worker. So don't let them inside your house. Because if you let them inside your house, they can use 3 dirty plates. Right? They'll use 3 dirty plates as evidence of hoarding and be able to remove your kid for that. And it's occurred. It's not a joke. So don't let them in. The investigator will then ask you questions. They'll ask you about your family history. They'll ask you about domestic violence. They'll ask you about how you were raised as a kid. And they might be gentle. They might be nice when they do it. But they're not your fucking therapist. Okay? No matter what has occurred in your life, do not admit that you were abused as a child, because they'll use that as evidence against you. Do not admit that your husband ever hit you, because they'll use that as evidence against you. I was dealing with one case, this was actually in Texas, where the mother admitted that her husband had hit her. This husband, though, had been out of the house for 3 years, and they still removed the child, and because they called it a risk factor. So don't admit to anything. Secondly, record the interview. No matter what, get a recording device, get out your phone. Most people have smartphones, but if you have even a tape recorder they can buy for $1 at a Goodwill, use it. Because the interview that is given to the investigator, well, it's not given word to word. That's not how the report is written. It's a summary of the investigation. So based off of the biases of that investigator, that's how they write up the report, a lot of times through memory. And then they'll use that against you. So make sure you record everything. Say as little as possible. They're looking for contradictions. Most importantly, don't trust them. They are not looking to help you. They are the enemy. They may ask for a drug test. Now this is where you have to decide. Usually what they have is an oral drug test. They put it in your mouth. You have to wait like 2 or 3 minutes until the saliva gets in, and they'll be able to tell what drugs you're on. If you have not used any forms of medication in the last 3 days, if you have not smoked marijuana, used Quaaludes, or any other drug in the last 3 days, you're probably going to pass this test and you'll be fine. If not, they're most likely going to try to get a warrant, if the allegation is one of drug use, to do a urine sample test. And it gets a little bit more tricky here. I will state there are some websites and maybe head shops that sell things which allow you to pass those tests. I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but I'm sure you can find it yourself with just a little internet
Shout out to him. He tried to tell it all. I like him. I really do.
search. Say no to private interviews with your child. They will manipulate your child in order to try to get information. If the allegation is of physical abuse, you can bring your child up to the door and lift up their shirt to show that there is no bruising, and you can bring the child to a doctor afterwards, and they will take pictures to show that there is no physical abuse, and you will keep that report. Do not give that report back to the CPS investigator unless you end up in court. Expect coercion and write everything down. See, what you want to do is you want to keep a journal. On that journal, you want to write on the header, "Notes to my attorney." This ensures attorney-client confidentiality. This will prevent them from being able to use it in court. In that journal, write notes on every meeting, notes on every visitation, notes about the court hearings, notes on anything out of the ordinary that occurs, counseling appointment notes, notes about if there's a psychological evaluation, a record of all drug testing results, and any...
Is that better? Queen Callie? I had turned it down when he was like kind of loud. Here, let me put it right there.
Visitation notes, if you get to that situation. If you go to court, lawyer up. There's no way to win unless you yourself are a lawyer. You see, judges don't trust the parents. They may trust attorneys. Make sure you get a family court lawyer, though, because most lawyers are not equipped to be able to fight in a court case where the Constitution is absolutely not respected, and neither are any of the normal laws of the land. Now, we have to realize is why this is important to activists. Anyone who fights against the system will be fought against by the system. I actually left Texas before I even made any claims about ever working for Child Protective Services on my podcast, The Renegade Variety Hour. I was afraid. I was afraid of what CPS could do. Now, thankfully, I don't have, any kids. I'm not married. My siblings are all over 18, so the people that they can attack are limited. But if you have a family, and say you're a marijuana activist, well, in Austin, Texas, they kidnapped the kid for a parent being a marijuana activist, and that kid died in foster home. Don't fuck around. Don't smoke weed in public if you're a parent. I know to some of the civil disobedience folks, this seems like you're giving up. It's not. Fight for your causes. Stand up for yourself. But realize that they will come, and they will come for you. I think, in conclusion, Child Protective Services is a system that profits off of converting children into cash while destroying their families and communities. Stay strong. Stay righteous in your indignation towards this system, towards this criminal enterprise. And I will continue to fight against this criminal organization with every breath I take. Thank you.
Let me get off of there. So, I mean, basically, like, that's, I don't know why I gotta tighten my thing up, but I don't, like, that's what we on now. I mean, I just feel like, a child that has been abused or whatever, has suffered enough. You see what I'm saying? And in order, or even if they didn't, these children are dying in foster care. And like I said, shout out, I know I got at least one Queen in here that is that does not work for CPS, but she's like a foster or something. She works somewhere in that area. But obviously I'm not talking about her, anybody that is actually doing their job. But I think that it's sad when they, you know, obviously control us and our children, because, you know, if you didn't know, your birth certificate and all that, your social security card and all that is basically stating that you are the government's property. We're going to expound on that at another time. However, there's this freaking report that I'm not finna lie, y'all. I broke down. But I had to, you know, take a couple of seconds and think about it, right? So we're about to look at this report. Let me get y'all over here. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because I did do my research and I ain't seeing nothing supporting it, right? But, so somebody, I'm not going to go into who or whatever, had posted this on Facebook, and I must have seen this shit and immediately flipped the fuck out. I started crying right quick and everything after I read it. But then I was like, okay, well, let me stop being emotional, whatever, and go and vet this information. Now, I will state that I have not seen a report like this or any information confirming this. This is a hood press. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, we are going to read the article just because clearly this has not come out in the news. It says DNA revealed Maleah Davis was brutally raped by stepfather, and then it should say then dumped. June 1st, 2019. All right, we're going to look at this article right quick. And then they got the nerve to have KHOU news clip from them in there. But it's a really quick article. Amid the search for Maleah Davis, the police confirmed that a black garbage bag that a black garbage bag, it should say bag, but it says back, with remains found in Fulton, Arkansas, were those of a child. Next shocker is that the DNA evidence shows that she was also raped brutally by her stepfather. The news comes out long after it was revealed that Maleah Davis's stepfather, Darian Vance, had allegedly confessed to dumping Maleah's body remains in Arkansas after she allegedly died by accident. Now we're going to click on this only because I know that this is not what the fuck is stated in there. This article again came out from Hood Press. So whoever the fuck Hood Press is, I really wish they would shut the fuck up until information comes out, because this is circulating slowly but surely on Facebook. And just for the hell of it, I mean, they claim that there's a video on here, but if you click on it, I clicked on it earlier, but let's click on it. Fuck it. Because it's not going to be a video. It's going to be another article, right? Same pretty much article. The news comes out long after it revealed that Maleah... Yeah, it's the same article. So I don't know what the fuck they got going on or whatever, but nah. Don't, like, stop playing when it comes to this case. I want to look at this just because I know it did. I know that this, I seen this, I posted this, not this article, I posted this video that we're going to watch right now, really small in the thing. There was no statement of that in there. You see what I'm saying? That she was, you know, sexually abused. That has not been confirmed yet. However, we are going on that accusation because the accusation was made by Cornell X, and Brittany at the time didn't say shit. But let's review this short clip.
Here tonight, 2 cash rewards for information that could answer the question we have all been asking. Where is little Maleah Davis? It has been 1 month since she was last seen alive. Her stepfather, he's in jail but refuses to cooperate, and her mother is accused of not being truthful of what she knows. So tonight, Crime Stoppers upping the ante to hopefully get a tip that solves this case. Levi Ismail's at Crime Stoppers headquarters in Midtown tonight. Levi, people around the world, they simply want justice for Maleah.
Well, the folks here at Crime Stoppers are saying the same exact thing. They want justice as well, and that's why they're raising the reward to $12,500 for any information leading to suspects who may know what happened to Maleah. Now, as investigators are working to find out new leads, we're taking you back to where this all began to figure out just how we got here and what happens next.
So clearly they ain't said nothing about no sexual abuse, because in this clip, you know, I've already posted this online. I think everybody has seen it. There is no statement in there about her, you know, that they confirmed that she was sexually, brutally raped by her stepfather. Now, it doesn't state in there anywhere in there about, like, Brittany telling Quanell X. I did not remember seeing that. So what is you coming here to, like, it's sad that people do that. It's sad that people clout chase over, you know, a dead child that we're just seeking justice for. But I'll admit, when I seen this, I did, you know, fall for the okie doke, because I was like, dang. But I definitely, you know, before I vet, you know, before I bring it to the royal family, I always vet information. And I'm definitely not saying that this is true, so don't, let's, this is my attempt to stop any rumors that may come out about this article, because it is not confirmed yet. Again, this article allegedly came out June 1st, 2019, and we at least just heard from Sergeant or whatever, Sheriff, Chief Acevedo, and he didn't say anything about that she was sexually abused. And a DNA test, what they're indicating that there was semen inside of Maleah Davis. I mean, it's just fucking disrespectful, and I'm mad. I don't know who originally posted, but I know where I seen it from. But I think that this person just assumed that this was actual information. That's why I ain't here to, like, call them out or whatever. But if anybody knows where this website came from or anything like that, make sure that we spread the word that this website is bullshit. Again, I'm going to read this. DNA reveals, and this is fake, this is not real, and I don't know who put this up. DNA reveals that Maleah was brutally raped by a stepfather and then dumped. Hood News. I don't know who these people are, but this is not a fucking game. Amid the search of Maleah Davis, police confirmed that a black garbage, and then look, it says back, it doesn't say bag, with remains found in Fulton, Arkansas. It wasn't even in Fulton, it was in Houston, Hope, Arkansas. I don't know if that's close or whatever, I don't know. But were those of a child. You know what I mean? They're trying to indicate that we know definitely because of a DNA test or some type of DNA testing that she was abused sexually, and those are allegations. This person should have stated where those allegations came from. It never came from the police, that those were actual allegations. And I think that it's sad that somebody would just run around and proclaim that. You know what I mean? I get it. The case is not slowing down. I hope that they are behind the scenes working. Again, we covered, you know, what the Chief Acevedo had said, and also reviewed a case that's going on where a police officer in their community had raped women coming out of a nightclub while he was on duty. And, you know, he worked for the police department for 3 years. So I don't know how at this point how much I trust this police department. I know that they, you know, secured a warrant for Darian Vance in a short amount of time. However, they did the same in that case as well. You know, the man was put in jail and then somehow got out or something, because they said they had now arrested him on new charges and he's indicted now. So why did it take a year for them to do that in that case? They ain't finna do that with Maleah Davis, because I'll stalk their damn life. I'm not going. And it's sad that, you know, nobody picked up on that and all this and that. Then you got the CPS. The man was talking about how it really goes down behind the scenes and how quick you could get your child removed. There's other things like Somebody could really just not like you and call, or, you know, the teacher or anybody that assumes some shit. Your neighbors could call and they basically act first and then ask questions later. Definitely be aware of your rights, and we will be expounding more on CPS and those type of things, whether good or bad, ways to, you know, deal with the government, period, because they really don't have no say so. We have a birthright to be, you know, free. It doesn't matter even if you want to cut all state lines or whatever, we have the right to be free. Like, but instead, in reality, we were born into slavery and just brought up to believe that we're free. America, the land of the free. That's fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. There is no freedom. If you, I mean, I guess if you was free, then why they lock you up first and then ask questions later and figure it out? If you were being lied on, as what has happened before, you know what I'm saying? People have been found not guilty after spending a lot of time in prison or whatever. But then also, it seems like you could just rape or molest somebody or whatever, and you can pretty much get off on charges pretty easily. May or may not have to register as a sex offender. So how could anybody in the community, because they're not going to be out, like when they get back from prison, if they even go to prison, they're not going to be having to hand out flyers if they didn't have to register. So you can have a sex offender right next to you and have the little app and all this and that, and have no understanding of who is really by you and shit. I think that the community needs to be more aware. I think it's sad that in that case of the police officer, they allowed this to go on for a minute. And I will also state that that rape case, there's a lawsuit. I don't want to really speak on it right now. I do want to look into it, but it was a big media source, not a piece of shit like Hood Press or whatever, putting out this fake Maleah Davis report. But I did kind of save that DNA thing for last because it was bullshit, and I didn't want it to be represented that I was saying that, you know, this is factual, because it's not. And if you see anybody sharing this, please let them know that there's no, and I searched for like 2 hours earlier. See what I'm saying? Then I came back right before I went live and I searched again to see if there's any information on this, and there is none. Mind you, this report came out June 1st, and nobody's commented or anything. In, you know, when you click on this up here, it brings you to another page, but nobody, I don't know how many shares this has had. Oh shit, 9,000, or you know what I mean, 9,118 people saw this. So now there's gonna be a fucking rumor, her booty all out. Now it's gonna be a rumor going on that and there's, you know, gonna be rumors going on that it's confirmed and all that shit. So basically, I just wanted to warn my royal family that this is bullshit. That this whole report is bullshit. And then let me see. Oh, let's make sure that we also state that Vibes Media, VYBZMEDIA.com, also has a story on their shit, basically saying the same thing. So this is a copy and paste type of shit that's going on. Let me show you this, because I didn't even notice that the fonts were the same at the top. But this actually says Vibes at the top of the little area right here. You can't see like my the email address or whatever, but I'm telling you, you can put this into the search bar. DNA revealed Maleah Davis was brutally raped by stepfather, then dumped, and then in those little things, video. And you're gonna see the same report that we just read earlier from here. And these are fake fucking reports, and this is the shit that goes on in these cases. Let me point out that oh, they ain't gonna show the picture now when I said it's a booty. Oh yeah, this is what I was talking about, the booty. Don't think I was watching porn or nothing. But I'm just wondering, like, how, you know, we know that propaganda is okay and it's real or whatever, but just let me know if you see people running around with this story later on, because it's definitely fake news. It sure is. There's not even a date on here or nothing on this first one. But the second one says June 1st. Yeah, the second one says June 1st. And I must have read it, and it was just like, you know, on Facebook. I shared it on my thing, and I also stated that I haven't, you know, I left an update after I just posted because I was in my emotions, like, damn, you know what I'm saying? And then I posted it, but I also stated that I ain't seen no other story to support it. And then I did come back and update that same post, you know, stating the same thing, and it's bullshit and fake news or whatever. But basically, this type of shit is not what's up. We don't need this type of shit, especially in this case. Now, motherfuckers already fucked up the Maleah Davis, the Kanika Jenkins case with green screened granny and all this and that. And I think that's sad, but this is a little girl, a 4-year-old little girl, and we don't need that shit. You know what I'm saying? We don't need that shit. But I'm gonna get out of here because this damn chair is bothering me. I've been sitting here for like an hour and a half, and then at work I was sitting down all day too, and I need to stand up and walk around. Plus, my son is leaving tonight to go to Illinois with his dad's side of the family, so I do want to say bye. But I'm probably gonna come back tonight because just to mingle or whatever, because it's almost the weekend or whatever. Well, it is the weekend, and just to click in or whatever. If there's any updates in those stories, or, you know, definitely Maleah's, I will definitely come back. But I'll try to find a topic and, you know, see if y'all want to join me for a live later on. I did also want to say that my son had received an award at school, and it's very big. I covered up his name, but at school for his behavior in school. It's something about improving or whatever, because he had a rough start of the year. The whole school was pretty rough, and then he drastically just turned it around, perfect attendance the whole year, and did a very good job. So I just wanted to let the royal family know that today I'm a proud mother. And my son, after bringing me this award, he's like, you can keep it, Mom. He's going to Chicago, well, Illinois today. So like I said, I'll probably be back later. I also got a brand new webcam coming, so we will get better with the quality. And I have a virtual computer that I've been waiting for dual screens to be able to be enabled. And this virtual computer is actually in Illinois, and I'll be able to control it from right here in my home. So I have to do some fine tweaking with that, but these streams are going to get better, and I will, you know, make sure that we're in the right frame. I do apologize for any sound issues. We do have a call-in number, but like I said, we're going to come back probably tonight. If not, you're going to see me this weekend, definitely, because, you know, I like connecting with you guys. And I'm waiting for some information on Maleah Davis. Like, you know, I want it to come now, and I'm kind of getting anxious and impatient or whatever. I know that I said yesterday that these things do take time, and I don't think that they're going to come out with something on the weekend or whatever, but I still got this case really much on my mind, and so there's some other things that I will possibly be looking at. But worst case scenario, expect to see me this weekend. Much love, you guys. I love that you guys came through. I do have a call-in number. Queen Callie had stated that she wished that I had a call-in number, and I read it when I went to rewatch the live. So I want to try to fix the things that are wrong, or make it better at least. The sound issue, like far as when it clips or when it gets too loud, we'll have to work on that. And I will be looking into making it better. But some of them things, like you go in to tweak one thing, or, you know, kind of take, you know, some of the noise out or compress it, and it like 40 screens drop down, and you gotta, you know, tweak all these settings, and if you move one thing, it messes up everything else. So it's just like, I'm really trying to bring you guys something. And again, that new webcam is coming, so I'm excited for that as well. So I will be back at you guys soon. Let me go say goodbye to my son, because he's going to be leaving in about 15 minutes. I will see you guys later. If not tonight, tomorrow definitely. Much love, royal family. Stay you, stay royal, stay uncompromisable, stay woke. And don't forget, if you see this story from Hood Press, or what was that? Vibes Media, VYBZmedia.com, spreading this story that DNA revealed that Maleah was brutally raped by her stepfather and then dumped. She was dumped, but we do not have 100% confirmation that she was brutally raped or even molested to begin with in reality. However, those accusations came out and Brittany sat there and didn't do shit. So I think that's important to note as well. And with that said, I'll just see you guys really soon. Much love for everybody coming in. There are some people that I modded, and I will be modding some more. However, I don't want to make it intimidating when other people come in the chat room and all they see is wrenches and stuff like that. We want to kind of make it inviting, but there are several people on my list that I rock with. So much love to everybody that is in here or will be rewatching. I will see you guys in my next video, probably a live stream. I like the live streams, but I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.